Alien girls laughed at Earth until they got pregnant by a human man. In the vast chamber of the Interstellar Union Hall, hundreds of species sat in floating tiers of light and metal. The room was designed to make smaller civilizations feel small. Ceilings rose so high they disappeared into glowing mist. Voices echoed even when no one spoke loudly. At the very center stood the human delegation. They were few, only 6 people wearing plain uniforms without glowing symbols or floating screens. Compared to the towering aliens around them, humans looked fragile, soft, ordinary. That was why the laughter started. The Velari, a tall, elegant species with silver skin and bright eyes, leaned together in their section. The Velari women who ruled their society did not bother to hide their amusement. "So these are the humans," one Velari woman said, her voice amplified for the chamber. "They crossed half a spiral arm just to stand here," another laughed softly. "They look unfinished." More laughter spread. Other species joined in. Some clicked their mandibles. Some pulsed with amused color patterns. A few did not laugh, but none spoke in defense of Earth. The Union moderator, an ancient being of light and machine, raised a limb. "Order. Humanity of Sol has requested formal recognition and equal status." That caused even more amusement. Equal status. The Velari matron Serixa Tal stood. She was tall even by Velari standards, her posture perfect, her expression sharp. "Moderator," Serixa said calmly, "with respect, this is a waste of time. Humans are biologically weak. Their lifespans are short. Their technology is copied from others. Their males lack dominant signals, and their species still fights wars over resources." Her gaze moved to the human group. "They are interesting pets, not partners." The words were sharp but polite. That made them worse. The humans did not interrupt. At the front of the group stood Elias Ward, Earth's cultural liaison. He was not a soldier or a scientist. He wore no medals. He simply watched and listened, hands folded behind his back. When the moderator gestured for a response, Elias stepped forward. "Matron Serixa," Elias said, his voice steady, "thank you for your honesty." That alone caused a pause. "You are correct about many things," he continued. "Humans are not the strongest. We are not the oldest. We are not the most advanced. But we are here because we believe cooperation matters more than perfection." More quiet laughter followed. Serixa tilted her head. "Belief does not change biology." "No," Elias agreed. "But it changes behavior," the chamber murmured. The Velari were known for logic and genetic superiority. Emotional arguments usually failed with them. Elias knew that. He was not here to win them over today. The hearing ended without ceremony. Earth was granted observer status only, no vote, no influence. As the humans left the chamber, the laughter followed them like noise after a storm. Later, aboard the neutral station Aurelian Gate, the Velari hosted a cultural exchange event. Attendance was optional. Most species sent diplomats. Earth sent Elias. The Velari saw it as entertainment. The hall was bright and open, filled with floating displays and carefully controlled gravity. Velari women moved through the space with confidence. They were curious now, not respectful but intrigued. Humans, it seemed, were harmless enough to examine up close. Elias stood near a display of Earth oceans, answering questions from a small group of Velari women. "Is it true," one asked, "that human males bond emotionally with a single partner?" "Not always," Elias replied. "But many of us value long-term connection." The Velari woman made a soft, amused sound. "That sounds inefficient." "Maybe," Elias said, "but it works for us." Another Velari leaned closer. "You did not react with anger when we insulted your species." "We're used to it," Elias said honestly, "and anger rarely helps first contact." That answer earned him a longer look. Velari males were aggressive, status-driven, and often competitive. Human men, by contrast, were calm, present, they listened. They did not posture. That was strange. Over the following weeks, Elias remained on Aurelian Gate as part of ongoing talks. Many Velari women found reasons to speak with him. Some asked about Earth music, others about art. Some asked personal questions, not invasive, just curious. Elias answered all of them respectfully. He never mocked Velari customs, never tried to dominate the conversation, never treated them as superior or inferior. That unsettled them. One Velari scientist, Lurin Va, studied Elias from across a research table. "You are not afraid of us," she said. "I am careful," Elias replied. "There's a difference. Most species fear Velari authority. Fear makes people lie," Elias said. "I prefer honesty." Lurin did not respond right away. She had expected pride or submission, not balance. Rumors spread quietly. Human men were strange. They did not chase power, yet they were confident. They did not threaten, yet they held firm boundaries. They laughed easily but listened deeply. None of that showed on scanners. Months passed. Earth remained low-ranked. The galaxy moved on. Then the first Velari medical alert was triggered. At first it was dismissed as an error, a hormonal irregularity, stress perhaps. Then a second case appeared. Then a third. Velari reproduction was tightly controlled and rare. Every genetic event was recorded, every possibility mapped. The scans did not make sense. Inside the Velari Medical Council chamber, Lurin Va stared at the data, her expression tight. "This is impossible," another scientist said. "The subject shows signs of early gestation." "Cross-species reproduction has a 0% success rate," a third added. "Always," Lurin swallowed, "unless our assumptions are wrong." The genetic marker appeared again on the screen. Human. Silence filled the room. "No," someone whispered. But the data did not care about belief. Lurin closed her eyes. She thought of Elias Ward. Calm, patient, unremarkable, yet somehow different. Across the station, Elias stood by a viewport, watching distant stars drift by. He had no idea that the galaxy had just changed its opinion about humanity. And this time, no one was laughing. For 3 full cycles, the brightest minds of the collective reviewed the same data again and again. They changed scanners. They recalibrated instruments. They ran simulations with different assumptions. The results never changed. Inside the white-lit chamber, holographic symbols floated in the air like silent accusations. Genetic markers glowed in calm blue lines. Human. Lurin Va stood at the center, her arms folded tightly. She felt something unfamiliar twisting inside her chest. Fear. "This violates known biological law," one elder scientist said. "Cross-species conception has never occurred, not once, across all recorded space." "And yet it has," Lurin replied quietly. Another Velari woman spoke sharply. "Then the data must be contaminated." "It is not," Lurin said. "We checked 12 times." Silence followed. The Velari were not a species that handled uncertainty well. They had built their power on precision and control. This discovery offered neither. Finally, the Matron Council issued a sealed order. The humans would not be informed. Not yet. Elias Ward was called to a private chamber under the excuse of routine cultural review. The request was polite. That alone worried him. The room was smaller than the Union Hall, but far more serious. No decorations, no observers. Only Lurin Va and 2 Velari officials stood waiting. "Thank you for coming," Lurin said. "You sounded urgent," Elias replied. "Is there a problem?" Lurin hesitated. She studied him carefully, as if trying to see something hidden beneath his calm expression. "Yes," she said, "there is a problem, and you are part of it." Elias did not step back. "Then I want to help fix it." That answer caused a brief pause among the Velari. They were used to denial, fear, anger, not cooperation. Lurin activated the display. Elias looked at the medical scan. He did not understand the symbols, but he recognized the meaning in their faces. "Someone is pregnant," he said slowly. "Yes," Lurin replied. "Multiple individuals," Elias swallowed, And you believe I am involved. We do not believe, Lurin said. We know. The room felt suddenly smaller. Elias closed his eyes for a moment. He took a slow breath. When he opened them again, there was no panic, only concern. Are they safe? He asked. The Velari officials exchanged looks. They are healthy, Lurin said. More than healthy. The pregnancies are stable, perfect by our standards. Then what is the issue? Elias asked. The matron's voice turned cold. You should not be biologically capable of this. Elias nodded. Humans are often told that. That was not humor, it was truth. News traveled fast in secret channels. Within days, rumors reached other powers in the Union, whispers of an impossible event. Of humans doing something no one else could. The Karn Dominion demanded investigation. The Ashari thinkers requested genetic samples. The Velari Matron Council demanded silence. Earth, still unaware of the truth, continued routine diplomacy until the summons arrived. The human delegation was ordered to return to the Union Hall. This time the laughter was gone. The chamber was full again, but the atmosphere had changed. Aliens watched the humans closely now, not with amusement but calculation. Matron Serixa Tal stood once more. Humanity of Saul, she said, you withheld information. Elias stepped forward. We did not know. Serixa's eyes narrowed. Your male engaged in relationships with Velari citizens. With consent, Elias said calmly. Yes, Serixa admitted. That is not in dispute. Her voice hardened. The result is... A murmur spread across the chamber. The moderator raised its limb. State the charge. Serixa took a breath. Human biology has violated established reproductive law. This represents a potential threat to galactic stability. Elias lifted his head. With respect, matron, life is not a crime. That sentence echoed louder than any shout. Some species shifted uncomfortably. Others leaned forward. Serixa continued, if humans can reproduce with others, they gain influence without conquest. That is dangerous. Or peaceful, Elias replied. Silence. Then a Velari woman stood from the gallery. It was Lurin Va. Matron, she said firmly, the humans did not manipulate us. They did not deceive us. They did not force outcomes. The compatibility occurred naturally. Serixa stared at her. You defend them. I defend the truth, Lurin said. And the truth is this, our science was incomplete. That admission shook the chamber. The Velari were never wrong until now. Outside the hall, Elias stood alone near a light wall, staring at his reflection. He felt the weight of billions of expectations pressing down on one man. He did not feel powerful. He felt responsible. A soft voice spoke behind him. You are calm. He turned. One of the Velari women, Saris Call, one of the affected, stood there. I am not, Elias said honestly. I just choose not to show it. You could have denied us, she said. You could have blamed our science. That would not help, Elias replied. She studied him carefully. You humans are strange, he smiled slightly. We get that a lot. Inside the Union Hall, debate turned sharp. Some demanded isolation of Earth. Some demanded control over human movement. Some quietly suggested containment. Then an Ashari delegate spoke. Humans did not conquer, the being said. They connected. That should concern us, but not for the reasons you think. The delegates' many eyes focused on the chamber. If humans form bonds instead of empires, they will reshape power itself. That idea frightened many. When the final decision came, it surprised everyone. Earth would not be sanctioned. Instead, humanity was granted conditional recognition, with oversight. The Velari would monitor all human interactions closely. As the humans left the chamber, no one laughed. Some watched with fear, some with curiosity, and a few with respect. Later, Lurin Va stood alone in the medical wing, staring at the data once more. Human adaptability, human compatibility, human unpredictability. She realized something then. The galaxy had judged humanity by strength and technology, but it had ignored something far more powerful. Humans changed those around them, not by force, but by presence. Somewhere across the station, Elias looked out at the stars again. He still felt small. But the galaxy no longer did. Fear spread faster than truth. Across the interstellar union, private meetings replaced open discussion. Secure channels lit up with urgent requests. Species that once ignored humanity now studied every detail of Earth's history. Human wars, human cooperation, human adaptability, and now human compatibility. In a sealed chamber far from public eyes, representatives of powerful civilizations gathered. No humans were invited. "They bond too easily," said a delegate from the Karn Dominion. "Emotion creates loyalty stronger than law. They adapt biologically and socially," added an Ashari thinker. "That combination is rare." A third voice spoke, cold and careful. "If humans spread, they will not rule by force. They will rule by connection." Silence followed. That idea frightened them more than weapons. On Aurelian Gate, Velari security quietly increased around the medical wing. The pregnant Velari women were protected, but also watched. Lurin Va noticed everything. She saw how guards hesitated before speaking to the women now. How medical staff double-checked doors. How silence followed them through corridors. "They are afraid of us," Sarah's call said quietly as she rested in a recovery chamber. "They are afraid of change," Lurin replied. "And of him," Sarah's added. Across the station, Elias Ward felt the shift as well. Meetings were colder. Smiles felt forced. Questions carried hidden meaning. Still, Elias stayed calm. That too made people uneasy. Earth finally learned the full truth. When the message reached the United Earth Council, the reaction was not celebration. It was concern. "We are not ready for this level of attention," one leader said. "They will see us as a threat," another warned. A third voice spoke quietly. "Then we must prove we are not." Elias was ordered to remain where he was. "Do not provoke," the message said. "Do not escalate." Elias read the words carefully. Then he did what humans often did best. He listened. The breaking point came sooner than expected. A classified Velari proposal leaked. It suggested restricting human movement, limiting off-world relationships, and placing genetic monitoring on all human diplomats. The reason was simple: control. When the proposal reached public union channels, outrage followed, not from humans, from others. "This is unjust," said a neutral species delegate. "Humans did not commit a crime." "They revealed a weakness in our understanding," said another. "That is not their fault." Still, fear spoke louder. Elias was summoned again, this time to a joint council session. The chamber was smaller, tighter, heavier. Matron Sarixatal faced him across a polished floor. "Human Elias Ward," she said, "you are at the center of a destabilizing event." Elias met her gaze. "I did not intend harm." "Intent is irrelevant," Sarixa replied. "Impact is not." Elias nodded slowly. "Then let me help manage the impact." That answer surprised the room. "You offer cooperation while under threat?" a Karn delegate asked. "Yes," Elias said simply, "because fear creates enemies. Cooperation creates solutions." Sarixa folded her arms. "And what solution do you propose?" Elias took a breath. "Transparency," he said. "Consent, shared research, and trust." Soft laughter echoed from one corner. "Trust is earned," someone said. "So is respect," Elias replied. The room grew quiet. Outside the chamber, protests began, not violent but loud. Velari citizens questioned their leaders. Other species demanded fairness. Even some older powers hesitated. Humanity had done nothing aggressive, and yet everyone felt the pressure. That contradiction bothered many. Lurin Va made a choice. Against protocol, she released peer-reviewed medical data to the wider scientific community, removing names, identities, and locations. The results were clear. Human genetics did not overwrite. They adapted. They balanced. They harmonized. The hybrids showed improved immune response, emotional stability, and cognitive flexibility. Not superiority, compatibility. The galaxy reacted with shock, some with hope, some with terror. The next attack was subtle. A motion was introduced in the Union to delay Earth's recognition indefinitely. No punishment, no accusation, just silence. That was more dangerous. Elias realized it immediately. "They are trying to erase us politely," he told Lurin. "Can they?" she asked. "Only if we let them." Elias requested permission to speak one final time. The moderator hesitated, then allowed it. The chamber filled again, this time with tension so thick it felt physical. Elias stood alone. "No fleet follows me," he said. "No weapons, no threats." He looked around the room. "You fear humans because we change outcomes without force," he continued. "But consider this. If we wanted power, we would take it differently." He paused. "We choose restraint. We choose dialogue. We choose responsibility." Some delegates shifted uncomfortably. "We did not come to conquer," Elias said. "We came to belong." The word echoed, belong. Sarix watched him closely. For the first time, doubt crossed her expression. Velari history was full of dominance, control, and superiority. Yet here stood a human, unarmed, unbowed, shaping the room with words alone. She spoke. "Humanity stands at a crossroads," Sarix said. "You may become a bridge or a fault line." Elias nodded. "Then walk the bridge with us." Silence stretched. Then unexpectedly, Sarah's call appeared beside Lurin in the gallery. She placed a hand on her abdomen, calm, proud, unafraid. "This future exists whether you accept it or not," she said. "The question is whether you face it together." The chamber erupted, not in shouting but in argument, open, public, real. For the first time, fear was challenged openly. Hours later, the session ended without a final decision. But something had changed. Earth was no longer ignored, and no longer dismissed. As Elias left the hall, Lurin walked beside him. "You did not demand anything," she said. "No," Elias replied. "I invited them." She looked at him. "That may be more dangerous than force." Elias smiled faintly. "It usually is." Far across the stars, analysts updated threat models. Humanity's ranking shifted again, not upward, sideways, into something harder to define. That night, Elias stood once more at the viewport. He felt the weight of the future pressing closer now. Behind him, the galaxy argued. Ahead of him, a new generation waited. And for the first time, Elias understood. Humanity was no longer asking for a place among the stars. The stars were being forced to make room. The galaxy did not decide all at once. Change never came that way. It came slowly, through arguments that lasted too long, votes that ended without clear winners, and quiet moments where fear weakened just enough for reason to enter. The Interstellar Union reconvened for the final session. This time, the chamber felt different. Humans were no longer placed at the center to feel small. They were seated among others, still watched, still questioned, but no longer mocked. Elias Ward stood with his delegation, hands behind his back, breathing steadily. He had said everything he could. Now the galaxy had to choose. Matron Sarix rose for the last time. "For generations," she began, "the Velari believed superiority meant control. We believed strength meant dominance and safety meant isolation." She paused, then continued. "Humanity has shown us something uncomfortable." The chamber was silent. They did not seek power. They did not demand privilege. They did not exploit opportunity. They accepted responsibility instead. Her eyes moved briefly to Elias. "That is not weakness," Sarix said. "That is restraint." Murmurs spread across the hall. Sarix lifted her chin. "The Velari Collective withdraws its support for human restriction." That single sentence changed everything. The final vote followed. Earth was granted full recognition in the Interstellar Union. No special control, no isolation, no containment. Conditions existed, yes, but shared equally. When the decision was announced, no cheers erupted. Instead, something quieter happened. Relief. Months passed. The tension did not vanish overnight, but it softened. Scientific teams from many species arrived at neutral research stations, not to take, but to learn. Human scientists worked beside Velari biologists. Ishari thinkers debated philosophy with Earth diplomats. Cultural exchange replaced suspicion. Elias stepped away from the spotlight. He requested reassignment. "I've done my part," he told the United Earth Council. "Others should carry it forward." Earth agreed. Not because he failed, because he succeeded. The births came quietly. No grand announcement, no media storm. Just life. The hybrid children were healthy, calm, curious. They cried, laughed, and reached for familiar faces, human and Velari alike. Lurin Va observed one child sleeping peacefully beneath soft medical light. "She doesn't know what she represents," Lurin said. "No child should," Elias replied, standing beside her. Sarah's call smiled faintly. "She only knows who holds her." That was enough. As the years passed, something unexpected happened. The hybrids did not replace anyone. They connected. They moved easily between cultures. They learned languages faster. They sensed emotional shifts instinctively. Disputes that once escalated now paused when they entered the room. They did not command. They understood. Other species noticed. Then asked questions. Then wondered. The galaxy began to change, not structurally but socially. Treaties became shorter. Trust replaced excessive safeguards. Mixed crews formed naturally. Conflicts still happened, but they ended faster. Humanity's reputation shifted, not as conquerors, not as saviors, but as bridges. Earth became a meeting ground, neutral, welcoming, unthreatening. That frightened some old powers, but it inspired many more. Years later, Elias walked through a garden on Aurelian Gate. The station had changed too. More open spaces, more shared designs, less division. He watched children, human, Velari, and others playing together under artificial light that mimicked a warm star. Lurin joined him. "You could have stayed important," she said. "I never wanted importance," Elias replied. "Just impact." "You achieved both." Elias shook his head. Humanity did. In a distant council chamber, analysts updated their models again. Human threat level, undefined. They expand inward, then others follow. The final symbol of change came quietly. A Velari Academy added a new historical course, not on human technology, not on human warfare, on human restraint. On the moment the galaxy mocked a species and lost. On Earth, Elias stood on a quiet shoreline, waves rolling in gently. He was older now. Lines marked his face. His hair showed silver. He watched the horizon, thinking of stars he no longer needed to chase. Humanity had reached them, not with fire, not with fear, but with open hands. Far beyond Earth, a young hybrid girl looked up at a sky filled with unfamiliar constellations. She did not feel divided. She felt whole. And in that moment the galaxy's future became clear. Humanity had not changed the stars. They had changed how everyone lived among them.